Sam Harris often points to identification with thoughts as the main support structure of the illusion of self. When you're lost in a narrative stream, the self is implicit. The I is assumed to be the thinker, moving through that dreamlike content. Through mindfulness, it can become more and more evident that a thinker, creating and narrating thoughts, is not findable. If one continues to pull at that thread intermittently throughout the day, strangely, nothing materializes. There is, however, a final, still powerful, structural bias in experience. One that is sometimes glossed over, but worth focusing on. It's this felt sense of directionality. The world of sound, sight, and sensation seems to funnel inward toward a point behind the eyes, in the head, in here, that feels like the gravitational center. That over here versus out there split is remarkably sticky. I have done some sessions exploring this point A, point B sense that embeds the conscious experience. It's this directionality funnel that I believe may be the final scaffolding holding up the illusion once thought identification has been weakened. For the next few minutes, let's explore how sounds, sights, and sensations seem to arrive from out there and funnel into here. This sense of directionality can feel so natural that it goes unquestioned. But again, it is precisely this structure that sustains the feeling of an observer behind the curtain. In Sam Harris's walking meditation, he touches on this when he describes the difference between feeling like you are walking towards an object and an object is getting closer to you. He wants the listener to recognize that there is another move, where experience drops either of those perspectives, and there is just the movement of the scene, ever changing. To get to that view, and it is a real view to be experienced, you can't just drop the default experience, but need an ability to recognize the embedded layering in the conscious experience of this funneling sense. See through that as a structural layering, and the next moments can naturally land in non-dual awareness. Let's start this exploration with eyes open. Notice the visual field as a whole and how it fades out at the periphery. Notice the room, the shapes, the colors. Doesn't it feel as if they're being seen from here? As if there's a vantage point tucked behind the eyes? That's what we will refer to as point A, that sense of selfhood. Whatever is being looked at, for clarity in this exploration, let's create the designation of it being point B. There are thousands of point Bs that can be noticed, right? Let's move our attention towards sounds. The hum of the fridge, a car outside, air moving through a vent in the house. Do these sounds feel like they travel across space to reach you here? An obvious point A in the head. Let's move our attention to sensations. The pressure of the back against the seat. Again, the sensations are a point B. Does it feel like it is occurring down there? As opposed to a receiving destination, point A, where it is being registered at. Now turn attention gently toward point A. Where exactly is this vantage point? Can you find a thing that all sights and sounds collapse into? Is there sort of a general vibe that point A is in this area? Spend a few moments here exploring this area. This is an odd instruction, but try it nonetheless. Bounce attention between point B and point A. Has it been noticed that point A is kind of elusive? It's fairly easy to lock on to any point B when prompted. But when pointing attention towards point A, there's difficulty locking onto anything. Attention might land on sensations of the head. A thought, perhaps. I'm here. You'll discover that this general area vibe is as close as you will get to finding something. The vibe is a construction, a layer of experience, which isn't a problem, as it's paradoxically always been that way. But when that is clearly known, that allows doors to open that were previously closed. Now comes a pointing out instruction that is critical. Let's focus on the visual field. Notice as different objects are looked at. Point Bs. See if it can be noticed what this directional funneling feels like. Maybe try drawing an imaginary line from point B, the object, to this sense of a point A. As this happens, you might notice the briefest of collapses of this structure, overlaying the visual field. Directionality momentarily softens. The sense of point A weakens, and the search naturally collapses. And it can be clearly known that the moment is actually just resting at point B. For some, there might even be a retrograde recognition that the sense of a head or a self also collapsed. This week, maybe try this exploration intermittently. Point B to point A. Follow that funneling sense with an imaginary line. See if the exploration collapses, even for a moment. And experience is just back in the visual field. Until the funneling sense reappears. So thought can create a dreamlike self, but directionality sustains a subtler one. The sense of me in here against world out there. When this is inspected, you may find, in addition to no locatable central observer, that even the directional layering on experience falls away and experience is complete as itself, knowing itself. Thanks for exploring.